he was. I accepted him. He never judged me. We had different friends, you know, everything was different, but we were trying to go the same way. And he knew he could count on me, and I knew I could count on him. And so outside of what we were doing was so new and so foreign. There was nobody else for us to talk to about that shit, right? There was no one in our lives had any frame of reference for what the fuck was really happening for us, you know? Like, we were flying to New York and LA and performing on stage with all the different people. And my mama was like, my mama didn't realize my mama thought I was lying for years. My mama didn't realize I was actually a musician, like for real, until we were #1 in Jet magazine. And that's when that's who my mama is, right? That's her cultural pipeline. Jet and Ebony at the crib. Right in the mail for years.
Absolutely.
And so when she saw that, she was like, "You and Chad, really?" I'm like, "Mom, I've been trying to tell you." You know, but there was no club, and there's still very few places where I could bring. My mama's first time seeing me rap was 4 years ago. I performed with the Houston Symphony. That was the only room I felt like it was safe to bring my mom. Right, because I was not going to be me in that room. I was asked to present in a certain way. But no, the rooms where I'm me, where Bun B lives, no, God, that woman never.
Coming to your construction, do you think about that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Riding Dirty is it's the first of all, I don't know how many recording artists are in the room. Are there any recording artists in the room? All right, y'all familiar with Pro Tools, right? Riding Dirty is the first rap album ever recorded in Pro Tools. We recorded Riding Dirty it was beta it was a test program when we did Riding Dirty. That was N.O. Joe that brought that to us. And so I literally was the first rapper that could have punched in. And I recorded Murder in Pro Tools and refused to punch in the vocals. For people who don't know what I mean when I'm saying punched in, when you hear a person rap a song, right? Especially rappers that rap real fast and have a lot of words, sometimes breath control does not allow you to say everything in one breath. And so for years, if you needed to pick up the song at a certain point, music used to be recorded on like a 2-inch reel of tape. So like a real big version of a cassette tape. And if you couldn't say everything, they used to have to record you on one tape and then record you on another tape and then literally cut. You know how on a computer you see cut, copy, and paste? That used to literally be, you used to have to cut the tape and splice it and add it to another tedious ass process, right? This would turn a 4-hour recording session into a 10-hour engineering session. It was so tedious. Pro Tools and technology like that literally took hours out of the process. But for me, if you can't naturally say it in the studio, you're not going to be able to say it on stage. So we can figure out a way to manipulate the vocals and create this verse for you, but you will never be able to replicate this verse in person. So their thing was, you got a lot of words in this goddamn rhyme, just make it very easy on yourself and just allow me to punch it. He really was just trying to try the technology out. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because if I do this shit here, I can't do it later. And so when you hear Murder, which Murder is probably one of the verses I'm most known for, that's the second take. Because I was trying to get that bitch on the first take. And just to prove the technology wrong. This is man versus computer, right? And he was like, and they looked at me, like, because I was like the one take wonder for a while. I go in, knock out my verse and go. And I didn't hit it on the first take, and they like, you all right? Run that bitch back, run it back. And this was also because of the technology. If you started a verse, that's why I was the one take wonder, because the machine would take so long to start and rewind. So if I do a verse and I mess up and they got to start over, the machine got to. It takes like a minute every time it has to reset, and it's tedious. And you feel like, I just want to get this shit done. So I worked very hard to where when I got in and did it, bam, because I'm paying for the studio time. Studio time back then was very expensive, especially for a full service studio that you could actually record, like mix and master in. That shit used to be like $250 an hour, you know, for an independent group. That's just like $40 in somebody's bedroom now. It's nothing. I'm serious. So back then, you didn't want to waste your time and your money. So you would actually write a rhyme and you'd be rehearsing that shit in the car, in the lot, because it'd take 30 minutes just to get the session set up. So while the studio was, just to get everything it was all manual back then. Today, everything is all automated, right, and it's digital. And you cut the shit on and automatically go right to where it was and all that. That shit used to go in and be like, okay, what song are we doing? We're going to start on this. They had to find the reel. Okay, here's the reel. They had to put it on. I'm telling you, this shit was, you pay for a 4-hour session and you might actually get 2.5 hours of actual work. Mm-hmm. And the rest of it was the actual engineering of it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that's why people can drop an album like it's nothing now. Be like, you wake up, like Lil Baby, I think just drop at midnight, right? Just out of nowhere. It just, you know, like we'll drop an album tomorrow. Right? And you can reach everybody like that. You can literally go through one platform and reach millions of people at one time with one push of the button. Back then, we used to have to go all across the goddamn country. I used to have to go to every radio station that would have me. Right, because all of them wouldn't have you because they didn't all play hip hop music back then, and you have to go to every club where a DJ was playing hip hop music because they didn't play in every club back then. There were many clubs that didn't even play hip hop music, and if you be in the city during the week, it was redundant because there was no club to go to on Wednesday that played rap. So you would just be in Chicago on Wednesday like, what you gonna do? And Sunday, same thing. There was no day party in 1994. You know what I'm saying? With no brunches and shit like that. I'm talking about, this is back when rap was literally at the bottom of the entertainment totem pole. I'm talking about in the 90s and 2000s where they wouldn't even want you to, I used to have to sign like $500 cleaning fees and no 2 people per room and $500, all of it just to stay in a fucking Days Inn, like, right. Like literally, you know what I'm saying? It was insane. And the rappers now, they get a hot song and they started House of Blues. Man, House of Blues wouldn't even have you. It was understood. Don't even bother Dan Aykroyd them. They not fucking with it. Which was fucked up for me because I really love the Blues Brothers. I love Ghostbusters. I was like, Dan Aykroyd, don't be like that. You know, it was so many different doors, right, that we had to knock down. And now our ceilings, our collective ceilings is literally everybody's floor. And there's a beauty to it, right? Because you don't have to literally fight and claw your way to it. There's literally room enough for everybody. You don't have to do what other people are doing because you can find your audience. Just stick to what you do. You know, I don't care how weird you think you are. There's a bunch of weird motherfuckers just like you. Some of them gonna be too weird. You're gonna be like, I thought I was different. But just do you. Just you know, follow the path that you know is yours. You know, it's very hard to look at where you're trying to go and seeing other people doing it easier with less, you know, friction, right. That you know haven't put in the work, the time, the effort, right. And honestly don't even have the level of talent that it should take to get to that level. So you have to figure out what are they doing right that I'm doing wrong if they don't possess what I have, right? And 9 times out of 10, it's hustle. It's hustle. When you see somebody on TV and you know that shit ain't jamming and you wonder, what is it? That motherfucker got a mouthpiece. I'm just telling you. They get in a room, they know how to make friends, they know how to go up to people, they know how to engage with people. They know how to make people feel like they're the only people in the room. They have nothing going for themselves but energy. They walk in the room with the right energy. I've seen people walk in places, and I remember we were just at an event. I wanted to get into it, and it was just like, Bun, can you get my cousin them in this thing? Hold on, let me call some people. Give me 10 minutes. They call me back 5 minutes. Never mind, he in. Hustle. I know people that go to All-Star weekends and Super Bowls, and they get into everything. And I'm somebody, and I don't get in. They be like, man, I thought I was going to see you at the so-and-so party. And my boy, they let me in. Man, you should have came with me. Who the fuck are you? Shit, you know me. You know me, fool. I'm going to get in that hoe. And they're serious. They get in. They don't listen. There's so many people I know that got to where they were going so fast because they didn't even acknowledge no's. Like that just wasn't even, I'm just talking to them. If you tell me no, I'm obviously talking to the wrong person. Yeah. I just got to keep going until I find that one person that's going to be like, come on. And they're out there. They're out there. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be popular. But if you walk up and you feel like, man, come on, man, please, like J. Cole is very infamous. If you look at the MTV My Sweet 16s, I think it was Tiana Taylor's party or something. He snuck in. He didn't know nobody there. I don't even think he was in the age. He might have been like 2 years older than 16. He wasn't even 16. But he was in New York. He saw something was going on. He worked his way in the room. You got to work your way in the room. You got to be a hustler about it. You can't just think because you cute or you fine or you know so-and-so and you typically get into this. No, that sometimes you're gonna hit a wall and that's not gonna work. And you got to be able to push past that.
Last question, and then we'll take the floor. I wanted you, if you could, to talk about, you are right now in a moment in which your influence and success as a hip hop artist has made you a celebrity beyond hip hop. Did you imagine that happening, and what does it feel like?
No, not at all. You couldn't have told me 2 years ago that my whole life would be cheeseburgers. Right now, there's no way I would have even accepted that. I'm very shocked at even the idea. I constantly go back to my partners, and I constantly think, I almost said no. Wow. Because I wasn't sure at the time if I wanted the responsibility. I knew that I was going to have to, put a real effort into it, because once we decided, that we were going to do it, I was like, all right, well, I'm finna be the face of it, and that's a lot. And I just didn't know if that was something I really wanted to put time and energy into, because I'm getting older. I got 6 grandkids now, and I look back at my life, and I feel like I gave too much of my life to people that didn't deserve it. And I don't want to make that mistake at this stage of my life. Right. But the beauty about this burger venture is that outside of my music legacy, which my children and my grandchildren will benefit from, but they can't really actively contribute to, right? What UGK did was done. Yeah. Right? My son tried to rap, he wasn't good. And me and his mama got into it, one day. She's like, you rap with everybody get a verse. My child ain't get a verse. Why my child ain't get a verse? I said, because if he had any other job, I couldn't go to work with it. It's not my job to make him a star, it's my job to make him a man. If you want to do this music shit, you're going to have to get out there and get it on his own. I said, he ain't lyrical. So the closer he stand to me, the worse it's going to be. But he was a good-looking kid, and I knew girls would be into him, but he can't dance. I'm not really sure he really got rhythm in that sense. He felt that being a part of the culture would be an easy entry point for a career or a job. He realized very, very quick that it wasn't for him. Right. And he was okay with that. A lot of people are not okay with that. I tell people all of the time, if you put all your effort and time and energy into this, you don't make it. Are you okay with that? Can you find the silver lining in that?
Right.
You know, and that's what I constantly have to keep in mind with this food. You know, the beauty is that my children, my grandchildren will be able to actively contribute. My granddaughter sells the merch at the pop-ups.
Okay.
She is determined to be a part of this company.
Mm-hmm.
But I told my wife, I said, I think she woke up and realized when we die, she get this shit. So she want to know everything about it, you know, and that's cool because this is the reality, right? And I would want one of them, because I know two of them that's not going to be for them. But she's a very focused kid, you know, like the things that she's into, she locks in.
Yeah.
And there's a very bit of tunnel vision that I see in her that I know she's seen me. Like, she watched me at these pop-ups. She sees me out sweating, giving people water, picking up trash off the floor. She knows I don't have to do that. But she knows I know I'm not above doing that. And so I don't want her to think that she's above doing that. Even if it's your company, you're supposed to pick up the trash because it's your company. You know? Nobody's supposed to work harder for your shit than you. And I want my team to see it. I want my consumers to see it. But I need my family to see it. Because the kids were young when we did the music stuff. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't really get that. My granddaughter looks at pictures with Beyonce. She's like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
When was this? Like, I was like, several times. Like, she's like, I wish I could remember this now. And then as the internet came, she rejected it. Because we would go places, they'd be like, hey, is that Taylor? How do these people know me? I don't know these people. I never met these people. Right. She was very off-put about it. But now she's like, okay, I understand a little bit more of how the world works. I understand a little bit more about how you work. And I never wanted the music to be the example that my family took away from my life. Yeah, it's a good thing. It provides a revenue stream, right? They'll always be able to go to Granny's house. That's one thing will always exist. But no, they also have to come with me to the marches. They have to come with me to the protests. They have to know that this is important. Right. And that you have to actually have boots on the ground. I say, because if I don't go, there's a lot of people that won't go if I don't go. There's a lot of people that won't care if I don't let them know they need to care. I say, so I gotta go. Right. I say, Papa, I gotta go. Like, but y'all gonna fight with the police? I don't know. I don't plan on it. I said, that's really. I would hope they avoid that. I said, but I don't know if the police gonna try to fight me. Yeah. I said, I'm not leaving out here to go fight with the police. I say, but the problem is not about what the people do against the police right now. I said, it's about what the police are doing against the people. Mm-hmm. You know, and daytime rallies and protests and speeches. Yes, you need to come, and you need to come. You know, they're not old enough to comprehend, but the ones that are, right? You sit and watch YouTube all day, you come watch this shit too. You know? And that's why I need them. I need to see them to see that. Not that Papa was famous and Papa had a nice house and car. Papa was a good man. Yeah. That's what my legacy has to be.
I feel like the music speaks to that. I feel like the music speaks to you as a brilliant artist, as a person who's a mentor, and as a person who brings your humanity into everything that you do.
I never let the music define me. Yeah. And my children will be able to look at that and listen to the music and be like, that's cool, but on Saturday nights or Sunday morning, we wasn't, you know, people tell me used to always say, you know, you making all this music, y'all talking about this shit. You know, what about the children? I said, well, I got children too. You don't think my children grow up in the same world your children grow up in? Right. I don't let my children listen to everything. I suggest you do the same. Typically, if my music got to your children, there's a chain in communication. We lost a link somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Your children should have no proximity to my music, you know what I'm saying? So if that's what you cleaning up the house with on Saturday morning, don't get mad at me. I play maze in my house on Saturday morning. You know, my kids right now don't listen to that shit. With them babies, I don't listen to that shit. No, and your children shouldn't either because they're not really grown. There's a lot of grown people that ain't mentally prepared for some of my subject matter. You did what to who in the what? Oh God, no. It's not for everybody, and it's absolutely not for children. You know.
Shall we take some questions?
Yes, sir.
Who's it going to be first? Yes, with the hand. Yes.
Yeah, so congratulations on doing the Houston Rodeo.
Thank you.
That was amazing being the first, Black male performer. But you took your platform and curated your hometown, within your opportunity. So I just wanted to ask you about the strength of collaboration over competition and how you can work across the people in your home.
So initially, I've been working with the rodeo behind the scenes to help diversify the lineup. Certain individuals inside the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo believed that the people on the stage should more reflect the people in the stands. And for many years, because it's a rodeo, it was typically majority country western music. A little over 20 plus years ago, they added Black Heritage Night, and now there's like Mexican Appreciation Night, and all these different other attempts at diversity. But even with that, even with them bringing the other person to ever perform, Black person from Houston to ever headline the rodeo was Beyonce. And that didn't have nothing to do with Houston. That's because she's Beyonce, right? But I remember very vividly, I went to lunch and I thought we were just going to talk about who he was considering. And they asked me, they said, it was me, Jason Kane from the rodeo, was my manager, and my wife. And Jason was like, but let me ask you a question. If we gave you a night at the rodeo, what would you do with it? I said, me? I'd make it the biggest shit that ever happened in the state. Like, it'd be the craziest shit in the world. I said, my Rolodex is deep. I could get anybody. And so we started really talking about, like, who could we get and how would we coordinate the travel and how do we get this guy from Miami and these guys from New York and these guys from LA and Atlanta and all of that stuff and what kind of budget would we need? And my wife was like, why don't you just get people from Houston? They ain't got to fly. They can just drive. They're here. And I believe the city will want to see the city. And so we started with 5 people. We started with Kiki, Slim Thug, Lil Flip, Paul Wall, and Zero. And we started to map the show out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and this, and they're going to come out. Okay, how much time we got? Right now, we had about 40 minutes. Damn. I wonder if so-and-so don't want to go. So then I called 3 more people. Say, y'all want to do the rodeo? Hell yeah, we want to do the rodeo. All right, y'all come do the rodeo. Like, okay, boom, boom, put the songs in. Told the DJ how much time we got. We had about 48. Really? Let me go home, boom, boom. And we just kept adding motherfuckers, kept adding people. And I kept wanting to touch different groups. I said, let's get Lele. Lele is a 14-year-old girl. She has a very popular show on Nickelodeon now. I was like, the kids gonna love that because the rodeo is a family event. I said, let's bring in H-Town. Like, one of the members in H-Town is my wife's cousin. Like, call the guy. I said, tell them they come do the rodeo. And then, I just called this artist and that artist. And then I was like, you know who I need at the rodeo, and you know who's gonna kill the rodeo, and the majority of people in there are not gonna know him then, they'll never forget him. I said, we gotta get Toby on the rodeo. I said Toby because of what it represents. I say, and we called him and said, yeah, man, we'd love to do it. We're gonna be 12 deep. Oh God, no. And I kept talking to Jeff, who was his representative. I said, Jeff, how can I can't have 12 people. Because I've already got 13 performers. Each one of them got somebody. They got people in the stand. I can't do it. And Jeff was like, okay, well, you tell me which family member can't come. I say, don't do that shit like that. Don't do that shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But then, and we literally started thinking, who can't come? And then we realized, they all gotta come. That's the whole fucking point of the movement. Right? Like, that's what that's really about. And that's really what the evening is about. We trying to bring as many people as possible to touch this stage. I say, you just have to give them their own goddamn room. Like, that's all we can do, you know? And I mean, and they got up there with, you know, 8 dancers, and him and his wife, and I mean, and they were the blackest thing the rodeo had ever seen. And I was like, unabashedly, unapologetically black. I said, the rodeo ain't never seen that shit. The rodeo needs to see it. I said, the people that come to the rodeo need to see it, because they are as Houston as anything else that has ever been on this stage. We all collectively define what this city is. And the only people that continually tell us we don't like each other are on TV. But I realized in the rodeo, I said, if you're white and you don't like black people, don't even come to the rodeo. Cause don't come that night. Cause they're gonna be there, they're gonna have a good time. If you black and you don't like white people, don't come to the rodeo. Cause they're gonna be there and they love this shit just like you. They're gonna be turned up. If you're Mexican and you don't, whatever it is that you don't like is gonna be at that rodeo. So either don't come or leave that bullshit outside. Whoever it is you are bigoted or prejudiced against, I guarantee you is coming to hear this shit tonight. They ain't never seen all these people, all this shit. They coming tonight. And they left it at the door and we all had a great time. And I at the end of the day, I said, if everybody had to leave that shit outside and came in and had such a good time, why would you pick it back up when you left? Because that's the world you can live in. How we felt that night for that hour, we could feel like that every single hour of every day. Just leave that bullshit outside.
All right, Bun. You running out of time.
I have a hand over here, and
Okay.
then I gotta keep her some time.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm very long-winded, but I try to be as transparent in these things as I can.
We're gonna take one more. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
I apologize, y'all.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome. Yes. This is not my first business, right? And so I come from the entertainment business, right? So my wife accompanies me to every meeting, because should something happen to me, my wife should understand the system, how it works. She should understand the value of what me owning my publishing means, the albums that I own, right? The inherent value that comes with that. And to know that if somebody offers her $5 million, it's worth 20. At least, right? But she should also understand the mechanics of it so that she knows how to get that value out of that music. I purposely over-record music so that there's things in the coffers for her. But it would be redundant to do that if she didn't know what to do with it, right? So these are things that in my house had to be taught, because somebody's got to carry it on properly. I will leave you the assets, but somebody's got to know how to manage it, right? But now this food thing is a totally different thing. It's a new industry. As you say, it comes with different tax codes and different ways to protect yourself and whatnot. And so as I educate myself and I do these Zoom meetings, my wife is on the Zoom meeting when I go and meet with the attorney and say, okay, we're doing another LLC. We're going to close that one out. We're going to do this LLC. And we're gonna do an umbrella company, and we're gonna put everything under that now, because we're expanding the brand, you know. And so it's imperative that my family understands these things. It's not just for me to go out and make the money and bring it home. I deal in intellectual property. People have to know what the fuck we're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's very important. So I already know that the wife's gonna get it. I know that I know which niece gets it, right? I know who gets it, right? Because they ask the right questions as they know more, as they see more. Uncle Bun, how does this work? Do you still use the same accountant from your music as your food stuff? You know, I'm like, kid, do you want a job? How many more years before you get out of college? But to answer your question, yes, it is extremely important that as a man of the house, not only do you provide what's necessary for the family, but if you deal in things, if you deal in mailbox money, they got to know, right? If you deal in intellectual property, they've got to know. If you own shares of a business and all, they need to know these things. And my wife, I be telling my wife, I'm like, every time we move, you know that picture ain't shit. You know that's the picture, right?
Right. Come on.
Right? You know that's the picture. All this other shit, if the house burned down, get the babies in that picture and we can get a whole other house. Don't even worry about it. Those type of things are just as important as, you know, you take your kids to movies. You take your kids to theme parks. You take your kids to the beach. You don't take your kids to the accountant. You don't take your kids to the lawyer, you know. Then you die and they all sitting in there trying to figure it out. And they all get back and forth because you didn't take care of this shit. I've seen this happen to families before, and I swore I wouldn't do it to my family. And so I've actively set things up to a way that it don't even work if you don't know. You know what I'm saying? To take two, we both got to sign off on it. It don't even work if you don't know. And I don't need you to be indifferent. You know what I'm saying? Because if I go, you're me now. And I don't need you to learn this shit the day after I die. You know, I've seen that happen in families, and it's brutal. You're already dealing with grief and all of that stuff. You don't have time. You're not going to have, you're going to be in the cloud. You know, and these are uncomfortable conversations to have. But it's way more uncomfortable if somebody's gone and you don't know what their intentions were.
All right. I think we at the end of our time. Get the new album, Mo Trill.
Yes.
It's out.
Yeah, on a good note, Mo Trill album out right now. New video featuring Zero in the Ghetto. Releases tomorrow. And man, Trill Burger's coming to a city near you soon.
Bangers on that album.
Yeah, no, we got. I'm blessed. I got Tyler Pali. I got Big Fred.
Banner.
Yes. Benny the Butcher. You know what I'm talking. Right. Larry June. You know, I tap in with the youngsters too. I see.
You got a song for the black woman.
Oh yes,
Queen.
that's Queen. That's me,
right.
CeeLo Green, and it's me, CeeLo Green, and Wale.
Dope song. Dope song. All right, thank you.
And 2 Chainz. So me, Wale, 2 Chainz,
right.
And CeeLo Green. Dedicated to our beautiful women.
Thank you so much for coming out here, brother.
Thank y'all so much for having me, man. I love what the music's doing in this community. On the southeast side as well as on the west side. So continue to keep y'all lifted up. And, you know, we need spaces where we can educate, empower, and encourage each other. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue to keep each other lifted up collectively, y'all.
All right, thank you. Thank you, brother.
So yeah, we appreciate everybody being here. We appreciate you coming out to Muse Southeast to celebrate with us launching this new wonderful location. And we thank you, Bun, for coming and kicking with us.
Happy to be here, brother.
And Bakari.
Thank you, sir.
People, I don't know if people really know who you are, so he's an amazing person for the culture. So you guys definitely look at what's your social media so they can see.
Oh my goodness, the real Bakari.
The real Bakari.
Yeah.
And his is Bun B. But yes, so thank you. And thank you to GRCC and the City of Grand Rapids for supporting us.
Thank you, GRCC.
Thank you for your time.
So that's it. DJ Reezy on the beat. Go ahead, do your thing.
I apologize if this message gets you down. I see every girl that I see around town. Hate to see y'all frown, but I'd rather see them smiling. Witness all around me, true. And I'm no island to listen to me. Makes no sense. I know crazy. Pussy cat that's in my